up? Hope all is well with you. It's most festive Monday, January 6th. Oh, the day. The day. 4 years ago. The thing that happened on the day. And I say this not to besmirch the stuff that took place 4 years ago. I say this not to downplay the stuff that happened 4 years ago. I say this because the reality is it's a conversation we need to have in this country. The left is using the January 6th as some sort of bizarre holiday on which to talk about how the Donald Trump world is nothing but evil. And I've said this all along. If you listen to my show, God bless you. I appreciate that. Thank you so very much for doing such things. But I have said this on numerous occasions, and I mean this wholeheartedly in my world. Was not happy with the way that Donald Trump handled a lot of things. I was not happy with the way that a lot of things went down on January 6th and prior to January 6th, because I think there was a lot of crap that, well, quite frankly, there's a lot of shit that shouldn't happen. He surrounded himself with a bunch of idiots. And what ended up happening? Any real chance he had at having a conversation about potentially what could or couldn't have taken place prior to that didn't matter. And instead, what you got was a bunch of, Rudy Giuliani's and Sidney Powell's running around acting the fool and preying on people who thought, the whole thing was a sham. But the way that people talk about it on the left is that it's a solemn day. It's a solemn day. And Sunny Houston of The View lost her blanking mind today when she talked about it. January 6th.
I think we need to find moral clarity, in this country. And I just remember after January 6th, you had someone like Mitch McConnell placing the blame on January 6th where it belonged, squarely on Donald Trump's shoulders. Mm-hmm. And then you started seeing people backtrack that mm-hmm. and losing their moral center. You had Condoleezza Rice, I believe, on this very show saying, we need to move on from January 6th. Mm-hmm. I say no. You don't move on, because January 6th was an atrocity. It was one of the worst moments in American history. And
so first and foremost, worst moment in American history, one of them, let's just settle down. But now it gets wackadoo, right? Like now this is the perfect example of the left just whoa!
When you think about the worst moments in American history, like World War II, things that happened, like the Holocaust, chattel slavery. We need to never forget, because past becomes prologue if you forget any race.
Wow. So insanity right there. So let's just talk about it. Let's break it down first and foremost. January 6th, like I said, not happy about it. There was an embarrassment. It was a black eye. I think Donald Trump absolutely could have done a lot more to get on top of it. That being said, you as an individual, you got to do your own thing. You as an individual, you've got to go and do the thing that you need to do when it comes to your life. So if I tell you don't do something and you go down there and do it, that's a you problem. That's a you problem. A vast majority of the people that were there, they should have got misdemeanors for trespassing. Were there a bunch of idiots that went to places they shouldn't have gone to? 100%. Do some of the people there believe that maybe, oh my God, we're here because Donald Trump wants us to be here? But as I say this over and over again, as disappointing as it was and as embarrassing it was, we were never in doubt of losing our democracy. It was never going to happen. We were never going to watch our government be overthrown by a bunch of people who left the Waffle House earlier in the day and got some souvenirs, right? Because when's the last time you're like, hey, let's go inside a resurrection. An insurrection, and then we'll get some souvenirs. Maybe we'll do that first. That was never going to happen, right? No, nobody had weapons, right? Still doesn't mean it wasn't an embarrassment. But to compare it to the Holocaust, to compare it to 6 million people being murdered, exterminated, to compare it to World War II, where the same madman that caused the death of 6 million plus Jews, million gypsies and gays and people with infirmities and people with mental, to compare it to a person that then went on to, of course, as we all know, start a war that caused the death of 50 million people is bullshit. Plain and simple. That's what it is. It's bullshit. I wasn't happy with it. If you guys listen to my show, you guys know. Wasn't thrilled by it. I think the entire incident was a black eye. That being said, do I think it's the most dangerous day in human history? I do not. Do I think it is an embarrassment? Yes. Do I think it is past us, though? And the thought that Condoleezza Rice put out there is the same thing I've said for years. Try walking forward while looking backwards. Try driving a car forward while looking backwards. You're not going to fix anything. You're going to crash. We have to look forward. But this want to always compare January 6th to the worst moments in human history, like not since the Hindenburg. I haven't seen anything this since, the day that the Titanic sank, et cetera, et cetera. My God, the reverence for it. What's going to happen now out of curiosity? This is why you lost. You can't just go, you can't just move on. This is why you lost, because you continue to focus on shit that nobody cares about. And for the most part, if you look at the numbers, they are to be believed. Most Republicans hold Trump somewhat responsible for what took place. But people have moved on. Well, what if he? There is no what if he. The beauty of that day, in the sense that we had the things in place that protected our democracy, that protected the things out there that we needed protected. He wasn't going to be president. I do not know a Republican out there who wants Trump to be king and dictator as much as they want it to be so. It isn't going to happen. It isn't. No matter how much somebody loves him, just isn't going to happen. But this thought process that day is on par with the Holocaust or chattel slavery, or you've got to be effing kidding me. You of all people, Sonny Houston, you're really going to compare it to that? Like, did you guys know that January 6th was as bad as slavery? I was unaware. How many people were killed? Anybody? One. Ashley Babbitt. One of the people that went in. She was killed. But what about all the cops? There were no cops killed that day. Nobody died that day, except for one person, Ashley Babbitt. It was horrible. She put herself in the wrong place. She made a choice, as did everybody else. But this thought process that everybody that was there and the person who walking around between the velvet ropes taking pictures is somehow the exact same person that guarded the Jews at Auschwitz and Birkenau is ridiculous. Get your head out your ass. It's that simple. We have moved on, as I think the left should. And I know it's hard because you like this stuff and you live for it. You live for the, I'm so angry. But let's just say it was an embarrassment. Let's just say it was something that, you know what, quite frankly, we need to do better as. But when I hear them talk about this, and I get it all day on my radio show the last couple of days. In fact, I just talked to my buddy, Drew, who said, you pissed off the liberals today. And I'm like, what did I do that I didn't do normally? And it was crap about the January 6th stuff. And then the local station I'm at here in Nashville, oh, you pissed off some of the people because you think you hate Trump. Because how dare I criticize him for the way that he acted on that day. I'm fine if I piss off everybody. But if you're going to complain and to compare the death and murder of 6 million men, women, and children, innocent people who were sent to die, or chattel slavery, or World War II. If you're going to try to compare the two, you are out of your effing mind. Do you understand that? You're out of your mind. Period. Case closed. End of story. You've lost your mind. This is not the same. Nor should it be even compared to anything like that. It is a shame when you do that. And then to go, never forget, which is what Israel and the Jews say, never forget. Never again, never forget. It isn't going to happen. That right there is what you need to pay attention to. These people have lost their blanking mind. They want to always talk about Donald Trump and January 6th, and they hold it in reverence as if this moral thing that we're always going to hold it. They're like a woman or a man that has got something on their relationship, and they always want to hold it over somebody's head. And quite frankly, at this point in time, nobody cares. But when you go and you compare that to the Holocaust, that's a damn stretch. Somebody's chatted in. I love you, Chad, but can we move on from the present? Yeah. MAGA can't blame everyone. Moving on. They have full control. That's right. Now it's time for MAGA to put up. Now it's time for Trump and everybody to put up. But that being said, it's time for us to move on, period. It's behind us. We've moved on. There's nothing else that you, and the examination has been real. The examination has happened. And when I hear people come out and talk about this, as I did today, several of my friends on the left, I can't believe this, blah, blah, blah. And I said to them, you don't have a lot of room to stand on at this point in time. We're just going to talk about stuff. Because you've allowed a man who, for the most part, has been infirmed. A man, for the most part, who has been out of his freaking mind. A man, for the most part, who has struggled physically and mentally to kind of run the country with the help of unelected officials, faceless, nameless people who, for whatever reason, they were in the room making decisions. And the examination of that is going to be big. All that being said, though, as a nation, men, women, gay, straight, black, white, right? Tall, short, fat, thin, Republicans, Democrats, independent, exhausted majority, forward is where we need to go. Period. Case closed. We live in the best time in human history, in the best country in human history. We have something that no other country has, a freedom like no other, and we need to protect it. We should be proud that on January 6th, 4 years ago, that all of the safeguards were in place. We should be proud of that. And remember that, yes, you know what? One of the hardest things in the world that will ever happen is what we go through every single day as a nation. Self-governing. Self-governing. This great experiment kicks ass. But it ain't free. And we've got to remind ourselves of that as we move forward. Solid. Joy talking to all of you guys. More and more of these every single day, and just getting back in the groove. Actually, we wanted to do a lot last week, but with the chaos and the craziness of what took place in New Orleans, we didn't really get a chance to. And plus, half my team was on vacation because that's kind of what they do. Just don't tell me when they're on vacation. See how that goes. Love it when you reach out to me. Like, subscribe, follow along with me across all of my social media, whatnot. You guys have a blessed rest of your night. We're going to do a lot more of these starting earlier tomorrow morning. So get ready for that. You guys have a great night, and we'll do it again.